The Untold Childhood of Quentin Tarantino. This is a fiction. Any resemblance to actual nerds, living or dead, is purely coincidental. On the other hand, I wouldn't be surprised if all of it is true. When Quentin Tarantino was born, the doctor gasped and the nurses screamed, and Quentin Tarantino's mother goes, "What's wrong with my baby, doctor?" And the doctor said, "It's a nerd. Holy shit, what a geek." And then the doctor said, "Also, this baby is really ugly." The Guinness Book of World Records called, and they said they wanted Quentin Tarantino for world's ugliest baby. And they put him on stage next to the world's ugliest dog, but the world's ugliest dog was repulsed. And people, when they were looking at Quentin and the world's ugliest dog, they said, "Wow, that dog is so cute," because of the contrast. Speaking of dogs, Quentin Tarantino's father bought Quentin a puppy, and the puppy ran away because of Tarantino being such a dork, such a nerd. While baby Quentin Tarantino sat in his crib, his mother mostly ignored him and watched gangster movies, and she would say, "Wow, these guys are cool. You better be cool like them. You better not be a nerd." She said, "You better not be a fucking nerd." But see, the thing is, Quentin Tarantino may have been a baby, but according to the internet, his IQ is like 200, and the internet's got to be right. So Quentin Tarantino, he understood what his mother was saying, even though he was a little baby. Wonder what she was saying. So Tarantino's father was a total nerd, of course, and Tarantino's mother cheated on him with a cool guy, and Tarantino was watching he saw all the drama. Tarantino's father eventually left because Quentin Tarantino was such a fucking nerd. Even his father couldn't handle it. Quentin Tarantino's father changed his last name so that nobody would ever know that was his son. That his son was a loser. When Quentin Tarantino went to school, like when he was a little kid, the cool kids would beat up the nerds, and then the nerds would beat up Quentin Tarantino. That's how much of an outcast and a fucking loser Quentin Tarantino was. So since Quentin Tarantino obviously had no friends, he'd go home and his friends would be the stuffed animals in his room, and he'd try to be cool in front of the stuffed animals. But he was insecure that he thought even the stuffed animals were making fun of him and thought he was a loser. At school, when he wasn't being made fun of and laughed at, he was being walked away from. So he got into the habit, people would walk away while he was talking, so he would get into the habit of saying, "Okay, all right," in the middle, like while he was talking, because he was just so paranoid that people were going to walk away from him. And that he continued doing that later on in life, as we all know. So Quentin Tarantino wanted so badly not to be a nerd and a loser that he purposely got bad grades and purposely learned nothing in school. But it didn't work. People still called him a nerd. So because he had no friends and because he wanted so badly to be cool, he studied cool movies, trying to decode how to be cool. He especially liked the movie Grease and tried to look and be like John Travolta. So he slicked his hair back and wore a leather jacket and sunglasses. But even then, they just laughed even more at him. They said he had a huge forehead and that he was too ugly to be cool. Kids can be very mean. Each day he would come home from school crying, having failed at trying to be cool, and would go back to his favorite stupid movies and try to figure out what the hell was it that he wasn't getting right, aside from being ugly. He didn't know he was ugly. One time he tried to bring a switchblade to school, but they just beat him up and stole it from him and then laughed at him. His mother felt sorry for him. She bought him a typewriter, and she saw that he was like, I wouldn't say creative, but that he wanted to play pretend that he was cool. So she bought him a typewriter, and he immediately started working on a story about a cool kid. He didn't even hesitate in terms of the subject matter. He looked out the window one night and wished on a star that he would be cool one day, and he decided that no matter what, he would be cool one day. Even if nobody thought he was cool, he was still going to be cool no matter what. It was going to be his entire life's mission. He said, I don't care if it takes until my middle age. I'll be cool eventually. At school, all the girls made fun of him and called him ugly and mocked him, pretending to ask him out. And one of those girls' names was named Mia, and she was dating a guy named Bill. So he would later, of course, he could never let any of this go. And even though they bullied him, he sort of wanted to be accepted by them. He liked them. He was attracted to them, even though they hurt him. All of the boys and girls who bullied Quentin Tarantino as a child would one day be in his movies. And in his movies, he could control them. But he would always know deep down that if his characters were real, they would laugh at him. One time there was a school play, and Quentin Tarantino tried out for the school play, and of course everybody laughed at him, like as if he would ever be cast in anything, right? But they let him work the curtain, and when the play had its first showing, and when it was over, Quentin Tarantino tried to go out to bow with the actors, and he told the audience, "Did you see me working the curtain?" And the teacher said, "Fuck off, you little shit. You're just the curtain nerd." And Tarantino would go to bed and say, "One day I will make people take me seriously. They will think I am dangerous like Al Pacino, like Scarface. Nobody ever laughed at Scarface." His first girlfriend, her name was Beatrix Kiddo, and she was mentally retarded. And she only dated him because she thought he was a clown because his face was so goofy. But he still was in love with her because she was the only girl that was ever attracted to him. And of course he would go on to reuse that name because it meant so much to him. When the bullies they always threw him in lockers in high school. And when they threw him in lockers, he'd pass the time in the locker by writing stories about himself as the bully who pushed nerds into lockers. So he got a cool car. He saved up all his money because he had nothing to spend money on because it's not like he had friends to hang out with. So he saved up all his money. He bought a car when he was like 17 or something. And the kids, he's like, "Oh, look, now that I'm going to be cool." But the kids just laughed at him, and because he was still a loser. He was just a loser with a nice car. Quentin Tarantino was just dumbfounded, and he was, why did it work? Why did it work for John Travolta in Grease? Eventually, he switched schools to try to restart his reputation. But, like, right when he entered the new school, people were already laughing at him. And he picked the biggest bully and punched the biggest bully. And the bully even laughed at him. The bully wasn't even pissed off. He just thought it was hilarious. He begged his mother for forehead reduction surgery, but of course it didn't exist at the time. And besides, she said, the rest of your head is just as fucked up. When neighbors commented to Quentin Tarantino's mother about Quentin's face, she always said he got his good looks from his father. Now, she's really saying the ugliness, right? She's just trying to be nice, trying to be polite. She doesn't want to hurt Quentin's feelings. Very good mother. Now, you can imagine Quentin was a very angry little kid. And of course, understandably, nobody would let him near animals. So he wasn't allowed to get a dog or a cat. But his mother did let him get a goldfish. And what he did was he stapled little sunglasses onto the goldfish. And I'm not sure whether he knew the fish would die. He was trying to be cruel, or maybe both cruel and he thought it would be cool. He would also burn ants with a magnifying glass. I think he still does. And he would call them nerds and losers while he burned them. He'd be like, "Haha, you can't do anything. You guys are losers." So he continued watching the cool movies and trying to figure out why he wasn't cool and what is cool and how do I be cool. And let's face it, he never stopped. He still does it every day. He'll be doing it until his dying day. It occurred to me, why do I just assume he grew up without a father figure? It's probably true. Quentin Tarantino was voted most likely to die alone. And it was a fateful day for Quentin Tarantino when his guidance counselor says to him, so you like movies about cool people and you want to be around the cool kids, but they don't want to be around you. So you should probably be a movie director. Then that way, the cool kids will be forced to be around you, and you can even help them to be more cool. And you'll be like by proxy cool. You'll get to go to the cool parties because the actors will be invited, and the actors will have no choice but to bring you with them. So that's my take on Quentin Tarantino's childhood. If anybody knew Quentin when he was a child, please let me know if there's anything at all I got wrong. And do check out my other Quentin Tarantino videos.